Today we are in Deal for the 10th BHPC event of the season. This is where the World Championship will take place. Today the race is on a small sub-track. The bike of the day is the Full Riders multi-track. Write in the comments if you know what it is, because I don't. After one lap, Team McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile is well ahead. He's followed by Dave Minter on his tricycle and Peter Ocean on his prototype trike. Team McDonald is dominating that race in his Velomobile. He probably should have been in the fast race. Stephen Excel on his upright bike and Don Shackley in his Alpha 9 Velomobile are closer 20 seconds behind. Here you have James Buttrell and Rob Womack fighting for the Uncycles classification. Gemma Foray in a fully faired Festina bike has taken the second place. She is followed by Dave Minter on his tricycle and Peter Hodgson on his trike. Judy Swallow on the ice trice is some way behind in 5th place. Stephen Excel on his upright bike is in 6th place. He's followed by Don Shackley in his Alpha 9 Velomobile. He's about to get lapped by Team McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile. The main peloton seems to have exploded. James Botwell has taken the lead of the Uncycles classification. Sammy Lambert on an upright bike is ahead of Gary Blunt on his Ice VTX. The multi-track is second to last. Gemma Foray in her fully faired Vestina is going to lap them. She is still followed by Dave Minter and Peter Hodgson, and Judy Swallow on her trike. Tim McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile is way ahead. Sheriff Harding on his Uncycled is in last place, quite a long way behind the fastest uncyclist. James Buttrell is leading the Uncycles classification. James Robertson on his tricycle has a big flag. It might help car driver to see him if there were cars, but here it just slows him down. Peter Hodgson and Dave Minter are battling for the unfair multi-track classification. The track is really good for aerodynamic bikes, as there is no sharp corner. Tim McDonald, his Milan SL Velomobile, is dominating the race. He's more than 10 km per hour faster than Stephen Excel on his road bike. Peter Hodgson and Dave Minter on their three-wheelers are closing in on Gemma Foray. The second place is up for grab. Gemma Foray in her fully faired bike has now Dave Minter and Peter Hodgson in her wheel. James Buttrell on his carbon Uncycle is leading the Uncycles classification. This is the last lap. Tim McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile is on his way to win the race. Peter Hodgson, Dave Minter and Gemma Foray are going to have to sprint for the second place. Tim McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile has won the race. Gemma Foray in a fully fair bike will take the second place, but I have missed it as I had to get ready for the race. Now is the time for the fast race. 90 minutes plus 1 lap. I'm having a rather slow start as I have trouble clipping in the pedals. Slash in the Bino Streamliner is going to overtake me straight away. I'm still not clipped in and Slash has already taken the lead of the race. That's it. I'm overtaking Joren on his M5 Low Racer. Russell Bridge in his Snoopy Streamliner is overtaking Joren Favre on his M5 Low Racer. And he is overtaking me as well. Erin Parson in a Milan SL Velomobile is going to overtake me. And I am already lapped by Slash in the Beano Streamliner. And then Russell Bridge in his Snoopy Streamliner is lapping me as well. I get to lap Alan Goodman on his Challenge Hurricane recommend bike. Joren Favre on his M5 Low Racer is catching up with me. He's overtaking me. Hopefully for the World Championship, the finish line will be wider. I can't let him get away, as he is my main competitor for the unfaired and partially faired trophies. Here we are lapping Jeff Bird in his Vulcan Velomobile. We are being lapped by Slash in his Beano Streamliner once again. Here we are lapping John Lucien on his Pelso Brevet and Kim Wall on her Optima Bayron Low Racer. Russell Bridge in his Snoopy Streamliner is lapping us yet again. On this kind of track, there is not much I can do against him. And Slash in the Beano Streamliner is lapping us yet again. He's probably 15 km/h faster than us, and we are already going at more than 45 km/h. We are lapping Jeff Bird in his Vulcan Velomobile again. I'm still not sure what will be the best strategy to get ahead of Joren. I don't really have a higher average pace, and it might be too dangerous to attempt a last-ditch sprint, because the finish line is really narrow and located after a turn. Here we have to slow down, as there is a group of slower riders coming into the turn. The narrow finish line is right at the exit of that turn. Erin Parson is lapping us in her Milan SL Velomobile. We are lapping Andy Fowey in his fully faired bike. And we are lapping Dan Bergonzi on his Raptor bike Low Racer. Russell Bridge in his Snoopy Streamliner is lapping us again. Also, he is kind of blocked by Joren, who seems to be moving to the left. I'm using that distraction to launch an attack. And I'm getting past Russell Bridge. It's going to be hard to stay ahead of Russell Bridge for one full lap. As soon as my speed drops to 50 km/h, he gets past me. I don't really get any draft from him. In the end, I am finishing ahead of Joren to take all the points for the unfaired and partially faired classification. Now is the time for the second slower race. 43 minutes plus 1 lap. Tim McDonald and his Milan SL Velomobile has been moved to the faster race, so the race for the first place will be tighter. After the first lap, Dave Minter on his tricycle is leading the race. He is followed by Peter Hodgson on his prototype trike. Judy Swallow on her ice trikes and Gemma Foray on her Festina bike are in third and fourth places. Don Shackley in his Alpha 9 Velomobile is in fifth place. He is followed by Melvin France on his King Cycle bike and Martin Kinzel on his Wincheater Sprint trike. James Buttrell here is leading the Uncycles classification. The multi-track is second before last. That's not really meant to go fast. Peter Hutchin on his prototype trike has taken the lead ahead of Dave Minter on his tricycle. Gemma Foray has taken the third place. Judy Swallow on her ice trike is in fourth place. She is still followed by Don Shackley in his Alpha 9 Velomobile. Melvin Friend on his King Cycles bike is in sixth place, followed by Martin Kiesel on his trike and Stephen Excel on his upright bike. James Footwell is still leading the Cycles classification ahead of Rob Romack. The multi-trike is right behind Alice Tulette on her upright bike. Sheriff Harding on his Uncycle is at the back. Somehow, the multi-track has overtaken Alice Tulette. Peter Hutchin on his prototype trike and Dave Minter on his tricycle are already lapping people. Gemma Foray is holding the third place, ahead of Judy Swallow on her ice trice. In the midfield, people are battling for the fifth place. Dave Minter on his tricycle and Peter Hutchin on his trike are still leading the race. The multi-track is still trying to get ahead of Alice Tulette on her road bike. There are several races in one. Dave Minter and Peter Hutchin are battling for the multi-track classification. There are no tricycle or trike in the faster race, so the winner here will get the maximum points for the category. James Footwell and Rob Womack are battling for the Uncycles classification. Alice Tulette on her road bike has finally taken a few seconds ahead of the multi-trike. Dave Minter on his tricycle is still in first place, closely followed by Peter Hutchin on his prototype trike. Stephen Excel on his road bike has now taken the fifth place. Don Shackley in his Alpha 9 Velomobile don't seem to be able to follow him. It is increasingly looking like the race will be decided on a sprint finish. Gemma Foray in her fully faired bike is holding firmly to the third place. She is not far off the pace of the leaders, but very slightly slower. It should be noted that the race is not on the full circuit that will be used for the World Championship. I think the sub-circuit is about 3 times smaller. It is also missing the sharpest turn, which is not that sharp but sharper than what we have seen today. Dave Minter on his tricycle and Peter Hutchin on his prototype trike are still leading the race. Alice Tulette on a road bike has somehow attacked the multi-trike again. Sheriff Harding on his own cycle is somehow matching the speed of the multi-trike. At this stage, the classification will probably stay as it is, as everybody is far apart, except Dave Minter on his tricycle and Peter Hutchin on his prototype trike. Gemma Foray in her fully faired bike is in third place, a few hundred meters behind the leaders. We would not want to have a bunch sprint with such a narrow finish line. The last straight is a very slight downhill. I am expecting it to be used for the 200-meter sprint in the coming World Championship. It should be noted that the multi-trike must somehow have been disqualified. Maybe there was some kind of electric engine in it. Dave Minter and Peter Hodgson are still leading the race. One of them is going to have to attack at some point. Gemma Foray in her fully faired bike is still in third place. This is the last lap. James Puttrell on his own cycle has taken a sizable lead over Rob Womack. Peter Hodgson on his prototype trike is sprinting for the win. He has won the race. Ahead of Dave Minter on his tricycle. Alice Toulette on a road bike has beaten the multi-trike. Don Shackley in his Alpha 9 Velomobile is in 6th place. Stephen Excel on his road bike is 5th. James Puttrell wins the Uncycles classification. As usual, people don't necessarily cross the finish line in the order of the classification, as they have been lapped. Gemma Foray in her fully faired bike takes the 3rd place. Now is the time for the final race. Johan on his M5 low racer is having a better start than me. Slash in the Bino Streamliner is taking the lead straight away. Somehow, behind us there is a sizable gap. Russell Bridge in his Snoopy Streamliner is overtaking us. Derek Twiddle in his Yellow Donkey Streamliner is closing in on us. He is overtaking us. I am not trying to follow him, as the focus is on the unfaired and partially faired classification. Erin Parsons in her Milan SL Velomobile is going to overtake us. She was already pretty strong when she was riding a low racer, and now she is even faster. I have a feeling Velomobiles are even more beneficial for people that were already reasonably fast without a Velomobile. Now Tim McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile is closing in on us as well. I am not sure what he was doing in the slow first race. Now he is overtaking us. I am not doing anything about it. There is still a long way before the end of the race. Slash in the Bino Streamliner is already lapping us. That's just like a motorbike lapping us. He is probably going 50 km faster than us. Russell Bridge in his Snoopy Streamliner is lapping us as well. We are lapping Jerry Charles Wood on his Rat Racer bike, and we are lapped once again by Slash in the Bino Streamliner, and we are lapping William Tullett in his Quest Velomobile. I am getting ahead of Johan as we are going to lap a group of back markers. We are lapping Kim Wall on her Optima Bayron Low Racer, John Lucian, Dan Bergonzi on his Raptor bike Low Racer, and Andy Foray in his fully faired King Cycles. Somehow, due to this acceleration, we are already closing in on Tim McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile. Joren Farrer on his M5 Low Racer is safely back on my wheel. And he is overtaking me. We still have Tim McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile in our line of sight. Erin Parsons in her Milan SL Velomobile is going to lap us. He's the fastest velomobile rider today. And we are yet again being lapped by Slash in the Beano Streamliner. Russell Bridge in his Snoopy Streamliner is lapping us again. We are getting close to Tim McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile. In the end, the camera will run out of battery. Slash will win the race. Russell Bridge in his Snoopy Streamliner will take the second place. Erin Parsons will take the third place in her Milan SL Velomobile. I will take the fourth place, ahead of Joren on his M5 Low Racer, and Tim McDonald in his Milan SL Velomobile. There are still a few late videos that will be coming up, so stay tuned.